It's a beautiful day for a podcast, wouldn't you say? I would.
Yeah, the almost final day of the year as we record this. This will be the final episode of the year, which
Yeah.
kind of wild. 2023 is coming to an end.
Yeah.
So we also thought perfect time to look ahead. We can't wait for 2024.
Yeah,
So we're bringing it to you already.
I'm fully expecting there to be a sort of an awkward phase for the first like 3-4 months of 2024 where everybody's gotten used to just 10 out of 10s dropping like it's nothing and 9s out of 10s just being everywhere, and people are going to be a little shell shocked when we get some good games but not necessarily masterpiece after masterpiece, because that's what normally happens. 2023 was a very weird year.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we know about some titles, but those are like coin flips, like Suicide Squad and Dragon's Dogma 2, which looks great, but yeah, I'm not expecting like the world from that. Although, yeah, it will be nice. Rise of the Ronin, just naming some titles, but I agree, like it's not the same as 2023, and I think it might be similar to 2022 actually, because not even in terms of like quality of the games, because of course early 2022 we got Elden Ring and Horizon Forbidden West, to name a few. But it seems like we will get that drought again, where after March there's nothing coming out till August.
Yeah.
Because we had that in 2022 as well, which was kind of sad. But we'll see. We're going to predict the future today. So
yeah, we're going to try. We've been actually pretty accurate, especially you in the past with like Metacritic scores and stuff. So, I'm excited to dig into some of this. And of course, we're always looking at live chat. So if you guys want to throw your 2 cents in, we'd love to hear that as well. As for other things, just as a little bit of housekeeping, if I have to go on mute a couple of times, it's just because I woke up with a ton of tightness in my chest for some reason. So I'm hoping I'm not getting sick again. I'm hoping it's just the dry Colorado air. But if I randomly do that, I'm not trying to like be dramatic. Okay, I'm just trying to prevent myself from hacking into the microphone. As for other things, it's been a wondrous year. I've loved doing this show. I'm excited to keep doing it in the new year. And next year,
we'll read all the comments as well under when you like post a video, and of course based on the Spotify. So keep them coming. Leave reviews. That would be very helpful as well. On Spotify, you can like give 5 stars and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And I've also heard people ask if we are open to having guests on the show, and I'm open to it. I think it would be super fun.
But who wants to? Like, I'm not sure if we can find someone who would be like willing.
Yeah, well, so says Jay. I know was down, and as we get more Assassin's Creed news, and potentially, I mean, that's something we're going to talk about during predictions for the show. I mean, this coming year is the first time in a handful of years we're getting a full-fledged AAA Ubisoft Assassin's Creed game. And
Doctor.
Oh baby, I'm excited. So
yeah,
looking
I'm
forward to it.
For sure. So want to start? I also, as a side note, because again I read the comments, I'm gonna try not eat my microphone this time. So I'm like having some distance.
Oh no!
Microphone for the listeners. And like. If you if I talk like this, you don't really hear it. So I really have to like face the microphone in a particular way, and then sometimes I like to do it like this with my mouth very close to the microphone. But I will do it like this. Thanks everyone for joining.
ASMR,
2024.
Yeah. So with all this, there's a lot to run through because we do know some stuff about 2024. There's of course been some games announced, though it's a much thinner spread than we had this year. I'm half braced for there to be a handful of announcements that are like, your typical Bethesda announcement, where it's like, oh, we're announcing it in June at Summer Game Fest or whatever, and then it's coming out in November. Everybody get excited. I'm expecting probably a couple of those, especially now that GTA 6 is not an immediate threat. It just makes sense to me that there was potential.
Everyone's like, get it out before. We have to get it out now.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to think that a lot of these big publishers were maybe waiting to drop release dates and stuff until they knew where GTA 6 was going to land so that they could avoid it. And now we know it's just broadly 2025. So I would guess that we start to see a lot of those slots fill in.
To immediately like start, do you have any predictions for what games you think might be that Fallout? I mean, Fallout was of course one of the first, but after that, many games did it. Like I remember, I mean, Mortal Kombat, for example, as well this year. Shadow of War back in the day.
Yeah,
back in the day as well. Also, very short reveal to announcement or release sort of time frame. So
I mean, following in the vein of Monolith, the guys behind Shadow of War and Mordor, I mean, Shadow of War was 2017, right?
Yeah.
And so
around Origins.
Yeah, they've been off working for a while. So I mean, that's a possibility. And we know they're working on a Wonder Woman game, and they've said basically nothing about it except that they're working on it. And I have to think that 6 years is probably enough for them to get at least close. At least with like Rocksteady, we knew that they worked on this like Superman game pitch. They built out a prototype, pitched it after like a year and a half of working on it, and then it was shot down. And then they kind of were like, okay, what do we do now? Suicide
the
Squad.
Superman game was never real.
It was never real. They worked on vertical slice and prototypes to pitch to Warner Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they got like demo reels or whatever running so that they could show them kind of what they were thinking, and then it was shot down. So all of that.
Yeah, but what about the loot boxes? We can't sell them in this game, so please.
Yeah, maybe
try again.
That's a good question. I don't know if like Shadow of War was so heartbreaking because Shadow of Mordor was so great, and then Shadow of War is such an over monetized pile of garbage. They stripped it out, and it's still a good game if you just ignore the last act, but whatever. Do they try to monetize Wonder Woman a ton? Like, it's probably not with loot boxes, but do you think they do battle passes for
I mean, if you want the bikini outfit for Wonder Woman, you might want to pay for that.
There are some thirsty boys out there that probably would pay.
No, but I don't know. They already came out saying that it's not like a live service. Of course, Warner Brothers is gonna push that forward.
Oh no.
And will resurface. So we will hear about that. And yeah, Suicide Squad is of course what they want all their other games to be. So probably the next time we see a Hogwarts type game, it will have some sort of multiplayer or live service elements. Yeah. But Wonder Woman still seems to be from that Gotham Knights era, maybe. So I think it will be more similar to that, of course, without co-op, but single player. So I hope it will be more like Shadow of Mordor. So just a nice single player open world. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed. Also, just so you know, Jor, we're having every like few minutes, your cam just freezes for like a few seconds. So maybe just double check connections and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly interesting. I think we could see a surprise announcement and drop for whatever that Wonder Woman game is. There's other things like, that are more known quantities, like Hellblade 2.
Yeah, but those are all already announced. Like, do you think you have any like unannounced things?
As for unannounced stuff, I mean, it's tough because it hasn't been announced. So like what exactly?
I think Borderlands 4 makes sense.
You think okay, that could make sense because Borderlands 3 was like 2019. I think.
So that's of course like a huge game for them, and they of course did some DLC and the Tiny Tina stuff. So some developers worked on that as well. But still, in 2021, Randy Pitchford said we're making the big one. They're also doing a Borderlands movie in 2024, like in August. So I think it makes sense for them, and that would also like looking at the Take-Two thing, saying that they want to make $8 billion in revenue. And knowing that GTA 6 will probably be at the tail end of their financial year, so they need to have more games to make that happen. I think Borderlands 4 makes the most sense. Also looking at their other games that they've coming, like we know BioShock is coming. Super quiet on that front. I did some research for a video as well, and one of the narrative directors on Assassin's Creed Odyssey, she's like working on BioShock as well for almost 5 years now. But she recently changed from a associate creative director to a narrative director like 5 months ago. So I think that game still needs some more work. We know the new Mafia is coming, but that was announced 2 years ago. So I really think, looking at Take-Two's slate, Borderlands makes the most sense. And do you really want to wait more than 5 years for a new title like that?
Not really.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that makes sense. The other one I think we possibly see drop is Judas, because Take-Two Interactive said that they don't expect that to take longer, or they expect that to launch before the end of March 2025. So if they shoot that in like holiday, apparently that was a tidbit that they said previously at one of their like earning calls or something, is that was one of their targeted slates to get it out by March of 25. So we could potentially see that with like a release date trailer in the summer, or maybe PAX East or something in the spring, and then we see some more trailers leading up to a winter release. I think that could make sense.
Yeah, that could totally be like a surprise hit for if Ken Levine still has it in him, of course.
Yeah, I think
that would be.
It would be really cool. I thought the trailer they already dropped was interesting. We'll just see, because Ken Levine is kind of a crazy person, and we all love him dearly. But like, the story of the development of BioShock Infinite is wild, because they restarted development like a few times because he just changed his mind on how he wanted stuff to work.
Yeah, and now he has even more creative freedom because he's left like a smaller team. We already had some like reports about how it's even worse now, but he now revealed it and showed the trailer. So it seems like he locked down some things.
Yeah,
but. We will see. I, by the way, think another Ghost Recon makes also sense. Breakpoint, of course, 2019 as well. And they stopped support for that game in 2022. That would also be 5 years. And I don't see Ubisoft working 6 years on a Ghost Recon game. Of course, they have to get it right this time, because last time was kind of a disaster. But I think it also could happen.
Yeah. That's a possibility. There's a handful of things that have been announced, and then other things that have not been announced, with open dates. Like, we know Sony Bend is working on something and has been working on something for a while. I think it's probably too early for to see the fruits of that labor, because apparently they were there were reports that I was reading, and maybe I got it wrong, but there were reports I thought I saw where they were working with Naughty Dog on something, according to some former employees.
It's an Uncharted game first, until 2021, and then they switched to the new IP because they were afraid to become like a Naughty Dog
support studio.
Yeah.
So that's probably too early to see that, but then again, like, we're talking about 2024. It's still crazy to me that we say 2024, we're about to head into it, and it's like, so from like God of War 2018, that's like 6 freaking years ago. That's crazy. Or from Red Dead 2, that's 6 years ago. It's insane to me. But that's what happens when you become an old geezer like us. So that's just what's
It also
happening.
feels weird to talk about 2024 when the big games that we know about are like 2025. I don't think we've had that before, where it was like, oh, we already know about some big games coming in 2025 that everyone is looking forward to. Monster Hunter, of course, being the other one. But we still have to go through a whole other year.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's been, like, the last few years was weird because there were a bunch of games that people were really excited for, but they kept getting delayed. And it was like the post-COVID era where they all kind of ended up landing in 2023, but so much of this stuff just got delayed from internal dates of 21 to 22, then to 23. And allegedly now, I was reading an article in... maybe it was the Wall Street Journal or Bloomberg, I forgot where, but there was an article I was reading on kind of the frustrations investors have had with all these constant delays. It makes it really tough to figure out what income is going to look like when things are just constantly moving around. And apparently a lot of investors feel that we're through the thick of it. Like, we're done with the constant delays, because now most of the stuff we're going to start to see was in pre-production during COVID, when it's not as crucial to be like bug fixing in person or anything.
Our
like
motion
that.
capture stuff obviously required everyone to get to a studio, and that could not happen anymore. I think we phased out of that as well. And also, we're finally more than 3 years now in this new generation, and usually it takes some time to get the engine running on that as well. I have some like maybe interesting predictions that we can like piggyback off of. I'll see someone in the chat here asking, Manus is asking, what do you think of Rise of the Ronin coming for PS5 in 2024? Yeah, that's another game, of course, that will be in March, but I think that's, once again, is like what you said. It will probably be a fun game, but I don't think it will hit. Like, there are some games that, like Jedi Survivor, that really did not get a lot of love during the Game Award nominations. And I still don't think that Rise of the Ronin will be of the same quality. So it does show you what kind of the year 2024 will be. But I'm still looking forward to it. I hope it will pleasantly surprise us. But my first one that I want to start with, because another game that we will at least for sure see in 2024 is the new Dragon Age, Dreadwolf. In the summer, BioWare will finally reveal it. And my prediction is that it will be the Starfield of 2024.
Dude, don't tell my wife. She is such a Dragon Age hardcore fan. She is obsessed, and she's been waiting for this game for however long it's been, like years and years and years and years. So I have the same inkling. I have the same feeling. I appreciate they've been way more transparent with the development process. I mean, one of the frustrations with Bethesda is that they are painfully opaque with their development process until it's too late. But yeah, what are the red flags for you? What makes you say that?
Of course, the first one is being, if you look at it, like the last like game that people were mostly like agreeing on that was great was Dragon Age Inquisition, and that has been 10 years ago. After that, they made Mass Effect Andromeda. Of course, it's always kind of the Fallout 76 situation. Yeah, the other team made it. And after that, we had Anthem, and that was gonna be the game that was made by the big guys, the veterans and stuff. But we all know how that went. So a lot is riding on this game, and what we usually hear as well, like obviously, it's obvious, but sometimes you have to be reminded of that. Like sometimes names of companies don't really matter anymore because the people that were there when it was like in the heyday are already gone. Mm-hmm. In BioWare's case, it's kind of different because some people actually came back to the studio. But yeah, I do think those people were also there during the Anthem era. So I'm just not sure if they still have it in them. And there have also been a lot of internal delays already for this game. Like first of all, I want to say I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong because I would love this game to really put BioWare back on the map and hopefully be the start of them kind of going on this big redemption. Because, of course, they're doing a Mass Effect game as well. But, yeah, I don't know. So far, what we've seen of the game is kind of weird. It's like all these sort of more tone-set trailers. They showed locations for the game and just some weird teasers. I don't know. It feels right now more like, hey, we're doing it again. Please be excited. But they haven't shown why we should be excited yet. That's why I'm kind of like, I don't know. And again, like Starfield, still, it will be like a game that I think a lot of people will enjoy at launch. But then maybe when we get like those few months later, we look back on it and we're like, yeah, it did not, it wasn't as good as I had hoped. And I do think that right now that's my prediction for Dreadwolf as well. But I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. I mean, all of that makes sense. Right now, we're talking about, can BioWare just meet their previous work that they did back in like 2014 with Inquisition, with this franchise? And, you know, the fact that that's a big question is worrisome because you would hope that every single time they release something, it's better than the last thing they did, not just whether they can maintain the status quo. And, you know, saying that it might be the Starfield of 24, I think that it's a funny comparison. But I think that as far as I've seen, there is not the same kind of sycophantic craziness that you have with like BGS titles with BGS fans as there is with Dragon Age. I just see that a lot more Dragon Age fans have been kind of burned with Mass Effect Andromeda, with Anthem, and the last few things that they've done. So I think everybody's pretty skeptical of this, and especially with really strange, like, I mean, this trailer that I just played on stream, they have a trailer that is a trailer for a trailer that's coming in like 6 months. So they have this trailer that just shows locations like you said, and then it just says full reveal coming summer 2024. An announcement for an announcement. And it's just kind of strange. Like, I'm glad that they're being more transparent. I don't know what the purpose of this is. Are they just trying
I think because they were at the Game Awards every year, and then they were not. So I think they were getting it out in front of that, saying, "Hey, we won't be there," without like directly saying that. Look forward to more info in the summer.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason.
Oh, that can make sense. Yeah, it's just going to be interesting. I hope that they reclaim their titles, and it's amazing. More realistically, best case scenario is probably like an 8 or an 8.5 out of 10. It's probably got some clunk. Any game that's been in development for a while is going to have clunk. And if it's suffering a ton of internal delays, that's also a red flag. Usually implies that there's some clunkiness with it. So hopefully it's good. I'm not expecting amazing, but hopefully it's good. More likely it's probably fine. And for some people, that'll be enough. But I think in the post Baldur's Gate 3 era, to have like a fantasy RPG that's fine is really, you know, it's going to make you look, yeah, it's not fine. It's going to make you look a hell of a lot worse in comparison. Because it's like, well, you see what they did? They did it better. Do that. And it's like, it's not that easy to do it that way. I'm sorry. I tried my best.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do? So
we got a donation here from Raiden. Unpopular opinion, but the God of War style gameplay for Dragon Age Dreadwolf makes me excited, but hopefully they deliver. We will know in a few months. Yeah, that's a great comment. Like there were some leaked gameplay sort of things from a test earlier this year.
Was that leaked or did they release it? I thought they released that.
No, that was leaked. Like again, they have not shown anything of substance for this game. All only tone setters and like weird teasers. And that looked pretty cool. Of course, it was like very early, but yeah, it did show way more action based gameplay again.
Oh, I remember this stuff. Okay, yeah. I guess I just thought that they like dropped this at a GDQ or something. I don't know, or GDC. But that's interesting. Yeah, it's very different. It's very different, and I think it's important. Like Jor said, it's early footage, so it doesn't really tell you a whole lot. When you see those like alpha or pre-alpha builds of games and combat systems, doesn't usually tell you a ton.
It will make all the turn-based games suck. People that say that about Baldur's Gate 3 happy, I guess.
Maybe that might be their approach. That might be the whole marketing strategies. It's like we're Baldur's Gate 3, but not turn-based. That could do it. Honestly,
but fun. Whoa.
Yeah, but better because it's different. It's not that, so it's better.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. So that's a good one. That's a good prediction.
Yeah. I have another one. I think to be a bit more positive. Like I think they will reveal the new Gears of War game, and I think it will be one of the best looking games we've ever seen. Like I think the Coalition, of course. They haven't released a game in a while. They did Gears 5 in 2019 and then Gears Tactics in 2020. But they also made that Matrix demo, that Unreal Engine 5 demo.
Yeah.
And they have, of course, always been at the forefront of that engine. And I think they really know it already way more than a lot of other people that are just starting with Unreal Engine 5. And I remember like just booting up Gears 5 to look at some of the levels being like, this already looks insane. So I can only imagine when they finally reveal Gears 6, which I do think will happen in 2024. Again, 5 years after Gears 5, that we will all be like, damn. And that's, that will be new ammunition for the console fanboys.
Yeah. Well,
and that part I'm not excited about. But
yeah, dude, it's so... we were going into this console generation. I think at the end of the last generation, everybody was like, yeah, we all kind of accept that PlayStation got us, like got this one. Okay. Even like the hardest core fanboys were like, okay, yeah, they kind of won this one. But I don't know, man. This last year has just been crazy. The level of toxicity is on another plane of existence. But I mean, you pair that with the prospect of a brand new console generation starting as early as 26 with Xbox, them kind of cutting it 2 years early. Like you could start to see Xbox kind of really taking the helm as maybe the graphical fidelity king, and PlayStation is the more narrative focused side of it. That is, I think, a really compelling contrast. So it's going to be very interesting there. Other things, I mean, what is your wildest guess? Maybe not realistic. What would you love to see the most?
Ghost of Tsushima 2 revealed and launches at the end of the year. around Assassin's Creed Red that we have this like this fight. I actually don't want it, but it will be fascinating, and I think it will be crazy because people will compare it. I can already, the moment the Ghost 2 trailer drops, which I do think is after we get the Assassin's Creed Red reveal, there will be a lot of videos like comparing the two, and it makes no sense because one is a multi-platform game, the other one has a different engine, like, but still people will do it. There will be people saying, oh, they will probably think that Ghost 2 looks way better. But I'm just curious, like, I don't think Ghost 2 launches in 2024. I think they need one more year. But that would be such a cool mic drop moment where just always, I remember when Miles Morales was announced during that PlayStation 5 launch stream. It was like, okay, what are they going to do for launch? A new Spider-Man? Nobody predicted that. So I hope something like that where they've been super quiet. I think it's because of Rise of the Ronin that they want to get that out first. They're publishing it as well, PlayStation. So I think that is what they want that out. Few months later, finally talk about Ghost 2. Again, though, I do think they need more time because it would have been 4 years since the first game. But they, of course, did the director's cut as well and the Iggy Island DLC. So I don't see it happen. But that would be my wow. Yeah. Just something where it's like, we see it for the first time. Damn, I did not expect it. And then it's out in a few months. That would be crazy.
Yeah. No, that I think would be very exciting as well. I mean, as for me, like there's the fever dream, hopeful, wishing kind of thing where I would just lose myself if Xbox went up and just casually was like, yeah, and Obsidian has been working on something. Check it out. And then it's just the Fallout New Vegas trailer, but with a modern coat of paint. I think that would be amazing. A remake or even a remaster, but honestly, New Vegas probably needs a full remake. Something like that would be just amazing.
It would be crazy if they don't do anything with that TV show. Like, we all made fun of Sony when they announced part 1 for The Last of Us, but they made bank on that.
It just makes sense. Yeah, it just makes sense. Yeah. Like, there's people that, like, don't realize this started as a video game. Like there's been stories all over Twitter or X or whatever of people that have met others that didn't realize, or have friends that didn't realize it's The Last of Us was a video game, and they thought it was a TV show and the video games were based off the TV show. Like they didn't realize which came first, the chicken or the egg. And I think for like the Fallout show, you're going to get another wave of a new generation of players. And I swear to God, if all they have planned is like a little DLC for Fallout 76, I'm going to...
A Fortnite skin, probably.
Fortnite. Oh, it's Fallout from Fortnite. Yeah. I swear if they do that. But like, it just makes sense to come in and give them access to the New Vegas IP. I don't know. Maybe there's contract. I mean, this is one thing that somebody in chat brought up a few days ago, that maybe, you know, Bethesda negotiated exclusive access to their own IP as part of the ZeniMax acquisition. It's possible. I think it's unlikely, because I think part of the Xbox appeal of acquiring the studios is to have the IP under Xbox, not underneath a subsidiary of Xbox. So it just makes too much sense. I'm not saying it'll release in 2024, because we know that they're working on other stuff like the Outer Worlds 2, and you know they've got plenty of stuff, Avowed also going on. But if they just drop like, you know, the same kind of funny cinematic trailer that they did for the Outer Worlds 2, where they're like, and then we see a monster, and this will not end up in the final game, but who cares? It looks cool. If they did,
what would have been even crazier if they show like a trailer and you think, oh, this Outer Worlds 2, and then they change it Fallout something.
Oh, that'd be cool. If they just show...
they dropped Outer Worlds, the name, and they're like, it's now a Fallout game.
Oh, dude, if they did that, that would be the ultimate troll. Can you imagine? Yeah. The internet would melt.
Yeah, that would be crazy. Raiden. Yeah, we got another...
Yeah, Raiden. Yeah. Has Ubisoft mentioned what engine Red will be in?
I mean, it's the upgraded Anvil engine, so they always use the Anvil engine for Assassin's Creed. And now, because Red will be the first game that will be PS5, Xbox Series, and PC only, so not on the old hardware, we will see some upgrades. But yeah, it will still be the while some Ubisoft franchises are now switching to Snowdrop, like Far Cry seems to be switching over. Assassin's Creed will just be using the Anvil. Did you, by the way, know that Hyperscape game also used the Anvil engine?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And one of the things they said about of course, that was like a big failure. Like that was like their Apex Legends, their attempt at making a battle royale game, put a ton of money behind it. And one of the things they said as like sort of a positive from that game, while obviously they lost a lot of money on it, they said, yeah, but we at least now have 100 players like compatibility with the Anvil engine. That was like their big
we did it. Yeah.
100 assassins dropping in, I don't know.
Yeah, jumping out of a school bus flying over the map. Yeah. It's this is part of the reason that all of those Assassin's Creed games, all of the NPCs have that kind of Ubisoft look, because they all share the same engine, and all of the NPCs kind of look like siblings. But with all the work that they've done on Snowdrop with the Avatar, I was going to say the massive game, which I guess it is a massive game, but with Avatar, there's clearly major upgrades. And so I'm excited to see what Far Cry 7 looks like, and to see how all of this kind of changes and morphs. But we haven't seen anything of what the next Assassin's Creed looks like. They've done a great job of keeping it quiet in the hit pass. Like, Assassin's Creed starts to leak in the weeks before announcements, so it seems like they've got kind of a leaky marketing department or contractors that they work with. But I'm excited to see it.
They got Jonathan, the French YouTuber, under the table.
Yeah, seriously, how does he have it? Does he just go to a bar that they all hang out in?
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it. It's ridiculous.
No, but one of my other predictions as well is that, of course, we have Assassin's Creed Infinity. Remember that, people? So that is like the sort of Call of Duty. What's that called? What they have, like the sort of launcher. So every time you boot up
HQ, yeah.
Yeah. So every time you boot up a Call of Duty game, you first get this sort of screen, and then you're like, are you sure you want to play the multiplayer, or do you want to do the single player, or go play an older game? So Assassin's Creed seemingly will have something like that as well in 2024, starting with Red. And they will have the modern day live there. So instead of every time inside a new game, we first are forced to see this sort of story. For some people that just, like a lot of people that only buy like a few Assassin's Creed games here and there, they never care, they never follow it. So the solution from Ubisoft is we're going to have that separate. So people who just want to play the assassin in that certain time period, they can do that. But for the people who really like that stuff, you can just have a dedicated section for that. But my prediction is that there will be, I actually have two predictions for Assassin's Creed Infinity. There will be something that is like wrong about. Like we will either have the Call of Duty issue where you'll have to download 150 gigs, and then you can not even play a game. Like you're downloading a lot of things that you don't want. Or there is something with microtransactions in Infinity. So, for example, that it's like a TV show. So the modern day might be a TV show where it's like cliffhanger, want to see the next episode, $5. Something like that, I think, will happen with Infinity. I hope not. I really hope they use Infinity as like a free getaway, like drug for people to get invested and then hopefully buy a game. But it's still Ubisoft. So I do think they will do something that will piss some people off. And my other prediction is that I think Infinity will launch before Red, so that we can already install the launcher and then see like a timer with Red counting down or whatever. And then already experience the modern day, get excited for that. Kind of like what Call of Duty is also doing with the campaign early access. So already give a taste of the new game, and then, you can play a few, maybe a week later or something.
No, it's really interesting. As far as I've seen, there aren't a ton of specifics known about the launcher, or if that's what it is. Is it just a splash screen like in Call of Duty HQ, or is it something kind of like, if you remember with I think it was Assassin's Creed Black
Unity?
Flag, and Unity did it too. Maybe Unity is what I'm thinking of. Where basically like you walk into the office and you know you go to you go to like your cubicle and you got all the decoration. I could see that being a thing where you know you buy through microtransactions a $5 desk toy that sits there, and you know you can decorate your little cubicle. So I could see them doing that. And then from there, you load in and select which campaign or which timeline you want to go back to.
Yeah.
And eventually their vision is to have like 5 or 6 or 7 of these different things. So you're like, I feel like being a pirate today, or I feel like going into Japan, or I feel like going over here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the ideas are really great. Also, it gives them room to make shorter experiences because it will just live there without having to be a physical product.
Yeah. Which, I mean, honestly, it's not a bad idea. I'm not mad at it. It's questionable as to how this makes the player experience better than just giving us games that we boot up and play. That I think is still in the air, because with all of these things, that I think you just have to ask, okay, but how is this better than what we were doing before? And I haven't heard that question answered. It's just, well, it's a hub. I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, but one of the things they said is that sometimes it can be hard to find the new stuff. So, for example, we at one point had the Valhalla and Assassin's Creed Odyssey crossover event, right? So in Odyssey, we had a big free 3-hour-long sort of DLC on a new island. And in Valhalla, there was also like a new sort of piece of content. But for a lot of people that did not touch Odyssey in like 3 years, because it came out like 3 years after the release, they were like, how in the world what do I need to do? I'm going to download Odyssey again. Okay. And then in the game and the idea is that you just boot up Infinity and it's like, oh, do you want to play that new Odyssey thing that we just dropped? And hopefully they will do something like that for Origins or something. Just click here. And then it will immediately install Origins or whatever. And then, yeah, when it's done, you can immediately go play that stuff. That's kind of, I think, what they were trying to do. So kind of like, in one overview, you can see, oh, that's all the new stuff, instead of having to look at like a Ubisoft blog post and figuring out where you need to navigate to.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I could see that happening. That makes sense. So yeah, that whole thing is going to be crazy. We're going to see Red. Here's kind of another prediction question. Where do you think Red lands in terms of fan response? Like Metacritic is whatever, because that's going to be what it's going to be. But where do you think fans come off of this? Are they like about it? Or are they like, this is what you've been working on?
I remember, I think that's always hard. I think with Assassin's Creed, it's always like who you ask. Because for me, the people that usually are like my audience on my main channel, they're usually like, they know what they're getting into. They don't expect like the game of the year, etc., etc. So they know that they will, probably have a really good time, and then maybe be pleasantly surprised by some systems or some cool updates that they release afterwards. But some people, especially with Valhalla, that cinematic trailer was of course really cool, and it's kind of set the tone, and people were still high of Odyssey. And then I remember when they released the gameplay, and they were like, what am I looking at? This looks really bad. So I really think it's just that some people have like kind of wild expectations. But I think overall, Red will, like, on paper, it should do well. They have 1 extra year versus the development of Odyssey. So that's already a plus. They know what they are. And that was kind of the issue with Valhalla, of course. It was like, we're making a social stealth. You can do stealth, and let's do the RPG elements because we want people to play for a long time, but let's not do it like that drastically. So they really did not make a lot of decisions in that game. So it was kind of a jack of all trades. Well, Odyssey, I felt really already, it kind of pushed back on what people wanted from an Assassin's Creed. And we're like, no, we're this Spartan game. And I think now that we had Mirage, I also see that from some people in the community. They're like, we had our game, now you RPG fans, because there's always this sort of like competition between the two. You go enjoy Red. And I really hope that the developers are also like, okay, we know what we are making. So I really think that the people that love Odyssey and Origins, and to some extent Valhalla, will really love this game. But I still think that people will be like, there are too many things to do. It's too bloated. I still think that it will have those issues. So it kind of depends on who you're asking, I think. But for what I'm looking for, I want to like lose myself in this game, and I think I will be happy with it. But there will be some people that like the size of Mirage and will feel overwhelmed with this game, I think.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's gonna be fun. I fully expect probably an initially kind of it's pretty good response, and then as time goes by, it'll just be like, you know, the usual where it's only going to be people are going to be more entrenched and sort of land further and further. You know, you start in the middle and then people start to separate, and after a few months they've ended up totally different sides of the spectrum, even though nothing really changed. It's just because they each went into their respective bubbles, and some people are like, this sucks, this is, you know, not like Mirage at all, and then other people are like, yeah, it was never supposed to be. It was supposed to be the big open world adventure RPG game. So
yeah,
no duh. And so there's going to be kind of a split like that. I do think if it's given space away from Ghost of Tsushima 2, it probably does a lot better, because the moment that they are put head to head, like you said, there's going to be comparisons. There's going to be people being like, well, actually, AC Red sucks because it doesn't have this thing Ghost 2 does, even though they're fundamentally different. People just...
Yeah, of course they're gonna compare. You know. But I while I think it would be fascinating to live in that world where those two like release a month, even if it's like a month, I don't think it will happen. I think Ghost needs more time.
Yeah.
And I think that's better for both games. And in the grand scheme of things, of course, people like to compare, but it just means that we have two probably amazing open world RPGs. In 1 year and then the year after that. I mean, that means 2025 again. That's kind of the sort of silver lining. 2025 is going to be amazing. It's
going to be crazy.
But let's look more at 2024.
Let's see.
Do you have any?
Yeah, one of my big questions, we kind of chatted this off camera before we started. One of the biggest question marks of 2024 right now is Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, because a lot of hardcore Rocksteady fans have been kind of on it because it's not anything like Arkham Knight. It's a looter shooter, a live service game with a battle pass. I mean, it's very different from what they've done before, and it's not the kind of game Rocksteady fans have come to know and love from them. So there's a lot of skepticism around it, a lot of suspicion and doubt. I'm still hoping it's great. I look at it and I don't see a game that I'm going to be playing for thousands of hours, which is kind of the goal of a live service game. So in that regard, I think it's already kind of failed, because I've not seen anybody that's like, I can't wait to spend months playing this. Everybody's like, I might play it for the story and then stop. And for a live service game, that doesn't work.
Yeah, but no, I always think, like, also looking at the sort of DLC discussion we had in the previous episode, where I think they're always banking on having this big launch, and then they know that only like a small percentage, maybe 10% or a bit more, will stick around for longer. Obviously, with a live service game, it's different, but I also think that it would be a huge achievement if they can have it both ways. If they can have a game that people play for the single player and they still paid the same amount of money, and they're only engaged with the single player, and they left and they're like, this was great. Thank you. I hope you make a Batman single player game next, but I'm not angry at you anymore. And then the people that want to stick around and want to play the new character when it comes out or whatever, those people are there as well. They want to grind for a new minigun, for King Shark. Those people are there as well. So I think that would already be great, because I think Avengers didn't do both. They tried both, but they failed at both. So...
And that's where it's just going to be, you know, some people have gotten the chance to play it through an alpha playtest or a beta playtest. I forget which one it was, but some people have gotten to play it already. We've seen plenty of trailers. They've shown, by their own admission, spoilers for the story and stuff in the most recent drop that they did. So people, I think, are starting to get a really good feel for the game. I think the question mark is just, is the story compelling enough for people to actually want to see it through and finish it?
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that's the question: is do you think that Suicide Squad kind of surprises everybody and ends up being pretty good? And you know, there will always be haters and people that don't really give it a fair shot. But do you think that it's able to buck that expectation?
I think the people that are not expecting any story or any like good, because I think only I still think that the trailers did not do a great job at showing the story or what the more linear or whatever missions will be like. Because I do think that the game will have those, and they of course have a huge cast. I mean, we're going after all the Justice League members, so it's probably going to be a pretty big game. And so far they haven't shown any like exciting, what that will be like. We saw small snippets of like the boss fights, but overall it has really been jumping around, shooting purple aliens, and that's kind of it.
The way I do think that. I'm just going to say this because I can't get out of my head, and I'm going to tell you, and then you're never going to be able to unsee it, okay? The way somebody described it to me was that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is just a game where you swing around shooting purple zits and popping them. And now that I've heard that, every time I watch the gameplay footage of them shooting these big purple glowing weak spots, it's really hard to not see it as just giant glowing zits. So... You're welcome.
Oh my god. Fighting puberty the game.
Fighting puberty the game.
Okay, but no, but again, like going back to it, I do think that people that are not expecting a story will hopefully be surprised. But I think that the live service crowd will get in there and be like, oh, they're making the same mistake as Game X. Because again, it's Rocksteady. They probably have tested everything, but there will always be this sort of balance issue or whatever, and I'm just afraid that and I hope that it won't like hammer the single player progression where you have to have gear score X to fight Batman or whatever. Like I really hope they can you're just able to follow the main missions and get out. But I am afraid that the sort of content they have there to be grinded out that won't be as exciting. So,
I'm braced for grind. I've never seen a looter shooter game that's not grindy. It's built into the core DNA of it. Like I just don't think it's going to be any different.
Yeah, but I hope it's like an end game thing. But not like
maybe if they do that with like Shadow of War, where they're like, yes, it is heavily monetized, and yes, you do have to grind a lot, but you can get through the story and then leave it. That would be better. I still think that the PR nightmare will exist because, as we saw with Shadow of War, the grind was mostly relegated to the end game, and still people dismiss the entire game as a result of that, and I think justly so. Real quick, everybody, I'm going to put in chat, both of the chats, a poll. I just want to know what all of you listening live think of Suicide Squad. Do you think that this is able to surprise people and it'll actually be good? Or do you think it's going to suck? Let's see. We're going to let the votes
there's
come
no in between. Okay.
There's no in between. I'm just asking what you think, okay? Don't worry. We're not taking any of this to the bank. We're just...
and if no, it will suck wins, then I do think that people are going in with the right expectations if they're going to pick it up in the first place. And then I hope it might surprise people.
Yeah. It's with all this, of course, my channel has taken the approach of like, let's be skeptical. And I think people often get skepticism mixed up with cynicism. They think that being skeptical of something just means being a hater, dismissing it, shooting it down constantly. All it means is that you don't buy into something until there's sufficient evidence for that something. So if you're telling me buy Suicide Squad, it's going to be great, I need to see the evidence that that's going to be the case. And when there's a lot of evidence showing red flags everywhere, that doesn't actually do that for me. For me, it's actually now on the meter of expectation and interest, I'm dropping. I'm getting lower,
But what I'm like overall, that's kind of my takeaway is that people are still like excited to talk about this, even though it is maybe in a bad light. And I do think that has the game going for it. People still care. So that I think will work out because there are games like this. I mean, Skull and Bones is a great example. There was like this leak on the Reddit for leaks and rumors, And someone like wrote out this whole like, I played the beta, I'm not supposed to talk about it, or I have like played a newer version, whatever. This is everything that is coming to Skull and Bones. And people in the comments were like, nobody is gonna make this up. So sure, it's real, right? Even though they didn't have a source. And I feel that people just don't care. And I think that is a like Suicide Squad. Even though a lot of people are like, this sucks, people are still interested. And I do think that if you are the person who can put up all the cutscenes on YouTube as the first one, rank in some views. I think people will just watch the cutscenes.
For real, I do think you're right. It is something that they have going for them, is that there is interest, and it's the same thing with like Starfield. All this. Like 3 months after the fact. Yeah, we all love bashing on Starfield. I'm passionate about it. It's basically a hobby of mine at this point. But part of it is because people still love talking about it. People still love thinking about it, seeing it, discussing it. And I think that's because the fans actually do care. I mean, we all joke, Todd Howard, cringe, tell me sweet little lies. We joke about that stuff. But I think it's because we're coming from the position of fans or former fans, and we want the game to be awesome. We want these games to be great. We want them to surprise us and to live up to the hype. And when they don't, it hurts. And with Suicide Squad, I think it's a similar thing where Rocksteady fans are hardcore. I'm one of them. I freaking love the Arkham trilogy. I love those games. And to see them now having to make a live service looter shooter is just frustrating because I know what they're capable of, and this is just I feel that this is beneath them. Now, maybe we get the game and it ends up being way better, and it's like, actually, this isn't beneath them. This is their best work. That would be my hope. But the fact that there's even a question is what's really disappointing. Because with Arkham Knight, we saw the trailers, we saw the gameplay, and everybody's like, wow, Rocksteady has taken the knobs, turned it up. The combat looks amazing. Graphically, it looks amazing. The narrative, cutscenes, everything seems great. And the game ended up being really great. Yeah, there were a couple of hiccups here and there with the bat tank, but all told, it was a great game.
Did you see the vehicles in Suicide Squad as well?
Yeah, well, with Suicide Squad, they made an offhand comment in one of the first like little trailer deep dive things that they did, where they said, and we even have extra characters, support characters that are coming to do things like sell you weapons, upgrade your stuff, and even allow you to customize the bus and the cars that you can take with you into like battle or whatever. And I was like, that's interesting. So is this like a fully open world where you're traveling in a bus that you can customize to go through the world? And then we saw it in the recent thing, and it's like, it's basically just a power up you can unlock, like a call or a kill streak in Call of Duty. And it's just like, oh, call it in, you shoot with it. It's a just gigantic weapons platform for a machine gun, and then it blows up, and then you have to redeem it again before you can use it again. It's that was interesting. Something I was interested in.
I was hoping it was like a battle bus.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be like, I mean, we all have the same like sort of movement and traversal. So
yeah, but I mean, that's an example of just you think it's going to be. Every time I've seen more of Suicide Squad, I end up being a little bit more disappointed, and that's not the direction you should be going.
No. But I'm keeping an open mind. I hope there's like an open beta.
That's, I think, the easy layup. That's what they need to do. They did the alpha. It all leaked anyways. Just let people play it. Like, what are we doing? I think
so. I think that will be smart.
Immature than you. Thank you for becoming a member, by the way.
Yeah, thanks.
And then Raid, and also thank you for the super chat. Speaking of Shadow of War, do you guys think we'll get any news about the Wonder Woman game by those devs this year, or is it dead in the water? Kind of touched on it earlier. I think it makes sense that we see it because it's been so long.
But see it like and release it. It's weird that they skipped Game Awards, but that might be because they want to have Suicide Squad in the minds of people, and having like another DC game fight for the attention doesn't make sense. So my hope is that in April, after Suicide Squad has launched, we get this big blowout. This is the game. Bam, play it in September. That would be great. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
But
they've been working for a while. Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah. You would hope so. Want to do some like smaller sort of? Let's do the poll first to round the Suicide Squad topic out.
Yeah, just to wrap it all up, you guys voted, and 77% of you are saying you expect it will suck. 22% of you saying it'll be good. Which at the end of the day, that's just a perception that's also reflected in the trailer, like to dislike ratio. It's reflected in the general response people have had. Like if I just pull up this, I haven't looked at this beforehand. But yeah, just in this most recent video they posted 8 days ago, the view count is surprisingly low. It's only 64,000 views for this whole thing.
But probably IGN reposted or something.
Probably. This is the verified account, though. It's just very surprising. I would have expected the.
Yeah, but it doesn't have a lot of.
It doesn't have many subs. Maybe like you said, the IGN 3 weeks ago, the Game Awards trailer did 300,000. DC's official one. This one, No More Heroes trailer. That's also the Game Awards trailer, I think. So yeah, it's sometimes it does good views, but their internal like Meet the Suicide Squad support team isn't doing too hot. And even on this hub, which is like a centerpiece for their fans, it has a majority of dislikes. 3.1k dislikes to 2.9 upvotes. And these are normally hidden. I have an extension to reveal it. So they have to shake the expectation, which is that everybody's braced for it to be kind of lackluster. And if the game ends up being great, that's awesome.
I would love that, because again, like we talked about, I think after March it will be a drought again. So April, May, June, July, and then in August we know we have Black Myth Wukong. I think that will be it's really similar to 2022 where. And then the first big game was Saints Row. We, of course, know how that turned out. But it was like a really, really front-loaded. And then at the end, we still had some bangers as well. And it seems like 2024 will be that too. Yeah. I want to shout out some fill-in predictions real quick. PS5 Pro. The rumors about that are that it's coming in September. What do you think the price will be? The PS5 Pro will cost?
I think they probably... Because right now it's officially $550 for the PS5, I think, in the US. Am I making that up?
Is it still $500, I think, in the US, and then $550 in Europe and other territories?
Walmart.
Because they did raise the price, but I'm not sure if they did it in...
Yeah, maybe PlayStation 5 plus... No, it's $500. It's $500.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so if it's $500 for the base... I don't really see them dropping it below $400 for the digital versions or for the regular version. Because what I would expect, if they dropped like the PS4 Pro at $500, they drop the regular one to $400, and then the digital to or the new model, I guess, to maybe to $350 or something. And that to me is very low for them. It just doesn't make a lot of sense nowadays. So I could see them dropping the Pro probably around $599, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the regular digital, maybe they drop that by $50 to $450 or something like that. I think that makes sense. But yeah, I don't see them getting really competitive with it.
No. Maybe it will be like in the territories where the regular PS5 is $550, it will be $650, and then I do think that holiday 2024 they will drop the price lower than what we saw, because this was like the first holiday season where the PS5 was actually available. And next year, of course, there are just not a lot of big games, and with GTA, of course, coming the year after that, I don't see a reason why you would drop the price way lower, because people need to have a console to play GTA 6.
Oh, yeah. No, especially if they can pay for some trailers to be like, the definitive place to play Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
It's just
oh my God.
a layup.
That would be crazy. Speaking of that, how many trailers for GTA 6 do you think we will see in 2024?
I think just one. I think that
really?
I think they know that they already have everybody set and controlled. I don't think they need to bother with anything more than that. Like, they're dominating the conversation already. So I think we get one, maybe. They might even just go full radio silent, and they just
oh my God.
They just let us spin. Yeah.
Yeah. I see Erwin in the chat say one as well. Yeah, that I think that happened with GTA 5 as well. That was I think also delayed like a full year, which I think that's another prediction I have. I think when Take-Two will report their full year earnings, which is like in April or May, we will probably hear that 8 billion is not going to happen in their new financial year anymore, and that means that GTA 5 or 6 has indeed been delayed to the end of 2025. I think that's probably going to happen. So yeah, that also means that still have one trailer to remind people, hey, it's really coming next year. Maybe really have that fall 2025 then. But yeah, I can also see just one trailer. And like you talked about before the podcast, that might be in September, right? Because of the bullet holes. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, just in case somebody didn't hear this, there was a group of people that are claiming that because of the bullet holes on some of the official concept art, they pulled up a chart of Braille and then compared numbers and said that it reads 1 more 9 is what they're saying, even though 1 could also be A, 9 could also be I, more could be pretty much anything because this doesn't really look right. So they're saying 1 more 9 means 1 more trailer in the 9th month of September. Therefore, confirmed, another trailer is coming in September. I think this is patently insane because you could also say that it's A more I, and it's the exact same Braille, just whatever, I guess, readout or whatever. Yeah. So
it's
it doesn't.
What we want to see.
Yeah, people are seeing what they want to see, and it's absolutely insane. So I wouldn't take that with too much. I would take that with a big old grain of salt. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Big old grain of salt.
But yeah, 2024 in September would make sense, but also October, December again. Like they can do anything they want. What do you think this developer publisher will have the best year in 2024?
I actually think Xbox stands to have a pretty good year if they have some actual surprises. If all we know about right now, like they have Hellblade, I don't really expect Hellblade to do too crazy good. Which is unfortunate because I loved the first game, but after seeing the most recent trailer, it just looked like, what have you guys been doing? Like, it looks good, but like the combat still looks super out of date and clunky, and it just, I don't know, it didn't really excite me, which was surprising, but I think they could surprise people. Ubisoft also could really surprise people and do well because they have Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Red. And everybody I've talked to, and Skull and Bones, of course, cannot forget that one. So Ubisoft's got a big lineup, I think, this year. And while I think a lot of people are cautiously optimistic for Red, everybody seems to be united in saying that Outlaws looks really good. If it lives up to that trailer, they're down. So, because it's just not an EA Star Wars game, and everybody's very ready for that. So I think it could actually be pretty good. So I'd say my official answer would be the publisher I expect to have the most surprisingly good year would probably be Ubisoft.
Okay.
What about you?
I think Nintendo, because they will launch the Switch too, and I mean they're gonna have like a sort of weird year because it's the final year of the Switch. We know about some titles like the Princess Peach game, and they will do some other remakes, I think. But if what we saw with the Switch reveal, like they probably want to mimic that as much as possible, so have like a banger first year for their new hardware, and most of that will be in 2025 because I think they will reveal the Switch 2 in September, so have one more summer period with the Switch, because that console, because it's a handheld as well, usually tends to sell pretty good in the summer as well. So talking about your new stuff before that, I don't think it's smart.
Yeah.
But then in September, have that weird, everybody goes to a water park with their new console for whatever reason, trailer or whatever they're going to do. They're probably going to do that, I think. And then have like a Mario Kart ready, maybe a 3D Mario, and then, sell it in the holiday. And I think that would already be a pretty big year for them if they maybe have, because there was like Breath of the Wild was running in 60 FPS or something, according to rumors on this new Switch. Those are things that people want. And if they have like the backwards compatibility ready as well, where all your Switch games maybe immediately work better, or after maybe a patch that they have to release. I think that could be like a big win for them.
Yeah.
Because I just think that for Sony and Microsoft, it's kind of it really seems that Sony will not have like a big tentpole game that we already know about. Or like, again, Ghost 2 would be that title. I don't think it's happening. I think they might do that Atreus game for God of War, but that would be, of course, be a smaller title. That would still be like hey, they announced in June and it's out at the end of the year. That would still be cool. PS5 Pro is probably still cool, but I still think it will be, looking at other years they had this generation, won't be the best. While I think for Nintendo, like launching a new system with hopefully some banger launch titles and the promise of maybe every few months another sort of banger similar to what we saw with the Switch One, I think that would push them over the edge. And again, Microsoft, I still think it's fascinating that probably there won't be, even though we of course talk about Starfield, how it was maybe a bit of a disappointment for a lot of people, that I don't think they will have a big game like Starfield for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a weird position for them to be in. Like, again, Hellblade, people will check it out. I think the completion rate for that on Xbox will be very low. I think people will show it to their parents. Look how good games look these days, and then they maybe quit. Avowed, I think, won't be that sort of. It seems to be like a smaller sort of Skyrim. The budget seems to be way less, more like an Outer Worlds type situation. And what else do they have? Yeah, maybe another Shadow Drop. That would be cool, like a Hi-Fi Rush type situation where maybe the Compulsion Games game, that South by Midnight, that looked really cool, which was kind of like with the guitar, with the crazy creature, the guitar.
Very Tim Burton.
Maybe that game is closer than we think. That would be cool. And again, if Gears is launching that year as well, like maybe Forza Horizon, that would be 3 years after Forza Horizon 5. So they could have a big year, but it's still, I'm not certain or something. And I think for Nintendo, we kind of know they're going to hit. And EA will have Dragon Age next to their regular titles. Take-Two, Borderlands probably. And NBA. Like I just really think 2024 overall will be kind of in between year. Unless there will be like a Larian out of nowhere with like a Baldur's Gate 3 or that takes the gaming industry by storm that right now we're not really seeing. I think Nintendo might take the crown.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Because I hadn't really thought about Nintendo because I think, like you said, they're going to have probably a really dry first 9 months, and then the last 3 months it's going to be dominating the conversation. I do think the Switch 2 is interesting because they have this layup where as long as they have like a really high quality party game like a Mario Kart, a brand new Mario Kart, not the Wii U version, but like a real one. And then a full Mario game, that right there, 2 big launch titles that look really good, are innovative and fun. And then also if they compare that with backwards compatibility, that solves the problem the Switch had initially, which was that there were basically 4 games for it for the first handful of months. And like, I remember playing Breath of the Wild, thank God it was so good, but like, I remember playing Breath of the Wild, finishing it, and just being like, now what? Like, it was still months and months away before we got it. Yeah, ARMS. I'm still so pissed off I spent $60 freaking dollars. I think I played it for all of like 45 minutes.
Free to play game.
And I was like, this is so stupid. It's so bad. I'm still livid about that. Here, this is an actual question, okay? For you and everybody in the chats, I want to know, what is a game that you spent like full price on that you're just so angry you spent full price on? For me, it's that and Man of Medan. Man of Medan was laughably bad, and I'm still pissed about that one. What was a game you guys spent full price on and you
I know.
Forcefully?
The recent Pokemon game. Violet or whatever, is that the name?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Pokemon 2022, I think it was. Yeah, Violet. Or I bought Scarlet, one of the two. But I heard that like the idea sounded really great where because I've been like, I played every Pokemon game, and then at one point I fell off because they were the same every time and I didn't care for the new Pokemon. And then I heard about this game. You can do the gyms in any order and I don't know, blah, blah, blah.
So open and
played
free.
it. Yeah. And then I played it and I was like, this wow, this looks like garbage. It runs like garbage. It's still super easy, and I was like, so yeah, I paid full price for that as well, and I'm like, why?
That hurts. That hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bunker Game, Devil in Me, AC Odyssey. Ooh, Swordfish, careful. Diablo 4, that surprised me because Diablo 4 was really, really good at launch. They screwed it up with the Season 1 update, but at launch, it was really good. Battlefield 2042, I feel for you. Yeah, that one blew. AC6, really? You didn't like Armored Core 6? That's crazy. Diablo 4 again. Modern Warfare 3, could have told you about that one. Forspoken, yeah, maybe. Joel Raptor liked it. I'm with you though.
Yeah, okay, not for full price.
Yeah, okay, okay.
I mean, it's not like $10. I would say to everyone, yeah.
At $10, you'll get $10 of laughs out of it.
Yeah.
It's a rockin' good time. Yeah. Let's see. The Last of Us. Okay, Darth. Anthem. That makes sense. There were people that bought Anthem at full price. Sean was one of them, apparently. And I think what I did was I did the EA Plus or whatever it was for $15.
Yeah, they can play for it, and also earlier, I think. Then you could like do the early access.
Yeah, I think most people did that, and I don't think it was available.
Then already saw the red flags.
Yeah,
but the crazy part was because it was really coming in hot, and even if you were like playing the early access, you did not have the day one patch, so you were really playing this, I think, more broken version.
Yeah,
even more broken version.
That's the biggest like baffling thing that a lot of these studios do is that they will like. Give people early access, and then the game just ends up being broken because they didn't patch it yet. I'm like, you guys need to have the day 0 patch done before early access. Like, I can't believe I have to say this. It's just like a few days ahead, plan months out to get it done, because man, it hurts when the first people playing it are like, this is a broken pile of garbage, and then they fix it for launch officially, but by then it's too late. Tad bought Cyberpunk on the PS4. Oh, that that one hurts. I'm sorry.
Oh my god, and probably your PS4 broke as well because
it just melted.
Yeah,
that one hurts. I'm sorry for that one. Oh, yeah, because they said that it ran, and then they hid the gameplay of it running on that. They didn't share it with anybody. Yeah, that one's rough. Yeah. That one's real rough.
And also when you wanted like a code for the game, they were really like saying, "Are you gonna play on PS5? Because then we will send you a code."
Yeah, please say
Remember that they wanted to launch the game before the newer consoles were out. That would have gone over even worse if you did not even have the option to play on PS5 or Xbox Series. That would have been crazy.
Can you imagine? Oh my god. So that's a. I'm sorry for everybody's pain.
Yeah,
I see all the pain in your face.
There's one last sort of thing I wanna. I mean, there are a bit more, but I think that this one is nice. Like, what do you think like the biggest gaming trend will be in 2024? Like, well, what do you think more people will start doing? Or rebel against? Or
like what's gonna be the hot button thing?
Yeah.
That's a very good question. I'm honestly surprised post-COVID we've not seen a new influx of like a Pokemon Go type of game that gets people outside and socializing. I've been surprised that there hasn't been anything like that that's taken the world by storm again, because it just makes sense. Like, people were stuck inside. Now everybody can go socialize again. But for whatever reason, it's not hooked people in the same way. So maybe something like that comes out and just surprises everybody. Because Pokemon Go was already kind of a baffling thing when it popped off. Beyond that, like broader market trends, maybe like I would expect people probably start throwing more and more fits over battle passes. That's at least what I'm hoping for. And we probably start to see the next generation or evolution of monetization. And I really think it's going to take the form with a lot of these games of probably very cheap access up front and then massive expansions. I think that's what they're going to do. You're seeing it with WoW, them trying to do $100 expansions. So Blizzard's trying to lead the way there. I wouldn't be surprised if they do similar things with GTA 6. So instead of selling you the game once and then getting some little microtransactions here and there, they're going to try to sell the game to you maybe for cheap, or maybe it's free to play, whatever. but then they get you to buy $100 expansions every 6 months or something. I think that's probably going to be the next push.
One of the reasons why they moved away from map packs, because it kind of sounds like map packs, is because you would really divide the community, and that's why the sort of model where you have the battle pass for like extra cosmetics, but everyone is playing on the same map and has the same guns and whatever, has been the sort of thing forward. Maybe for single player games it's less of an issue, but that has been the reason why they obviously kind of moved away from that. And it keeps people playing, and that's of course what they want. Like, they see the metrics, the more people are playing, the more they are probably going to spend, or willing to even spend in the first place. So and also, like, giving a lot of stuff for free, at one point, if you really like the game, you might be like, I'm gonna throw them a few bucks because I had like 10 hours of fun here. But I agree. I think in particular, every time you see a battle pass now, I already get like kind of worn out. Like, I'm not doing this again. I'm just not. So I agree. I hope they find a cool way for that. I think what Halo, for example, did, where the battle pass is unlocked forever. Like, you take your time, and when the new gun one comes out, you can work towards that as well. I think that would be cool. Personally, what I think we will see more of, and it's already kind of started, but it kind of was a thing, then it went away, and I'm not sure why, and then it came back, and that's the early access. I really think that I put it in the as one of like my predictions. Like, I think at least 10 AAA games this year will pay X amount of money for 3 days early access. We already see it with Suicide Squad, and Skull and Bones has it as well. Even I think even Prince of Persia has it. Like, what? So it seems like it's gonna be a staple for every Ubisoft game moving forward, because that's also for them another other way to sell their Ubisoft Plus subscription, because you also then get early access. So I think like Red, Outlaws will probably have that too, and all the Microsoft games, obviously. Like, I think that like Starfield was in the platinum earners for Steam, and I think that's mostly because of that $100 edition that you had to buy to get like a week early access or whatever.
So that's a great point.
So I think
and I've said before, I fully expect GTA 6 is going to do like probably a $70 edition for standard, but they're going to do like a week of early access, and everybody on the planet is going to pay for it. Like, it's going to be like $120 premium edition to get early access, and everybody's going to pay for it. Because it just makes sense. Like, they can save face and be like, well, we didn't raise the price of video games. We just said that if you want to play it a week early, you just pay us a little bit extra, or you pay double. And at that point, it's everybody's individual choice. Like, if they have fear of missing out, then they're gonna buy it, and everybody's gonna be like, I can't believe I'm doing this, take my money. Everybody's gonna do it. Like, let's be honest.
And now more than ever, especially with TikTok and how focused on like the here and now that is, if you play that game, if you're not paying for that more expensive edition, you basically should be not on TikTok. You will be spoiled. You will see things that like, so it really, it would be a really baller move. I totally think they will do that. That would be huge. As
makes sense. Real quick, Stefan, thank you for the 25 Ronin super chat. Outlaws is my most anticipated 2024 game because it feels like Odyssey with hover bikes and laser guns, and I love Odyssey and female protagonists. I think you're not alone. I think a lot of people are very, maybe not like hyped for it, but like you said, anticipating it, or they're very intrigued. And that's where I'm at. I'm like, if they do what they showed in that trailer, I think it's going to pop off. It's just, I mean, they cannot afford for this to be a downgrade situation, or for this to be like, we showed you can buy people off, but that's just in that one quest line at the very beginning of the game. Like, they can't do that. It has to be what they showed. And if they can live up to that expectation, ooh, baby, we're in for it.
My only worry is that there won't that will be kind of Jedi Survivor in terms of depth, and I think for some people they will be fine with that, but I'm not expecting like maybe we don't need gear slots, but I hope that there will be like really impactful sort of cool upgrades or whatever if we do decide to explore this planet and find cool things. instead of just a new poncho, like, but then the jacket equivalent, like whatever they will think of. I hope that
got a new hairstyle and a new beard style that looks the same as the last one. Hooray!
Oh my god! And can you imagine looking at Avatar and then the item shop in that game? Oh, they're gonna go crazy.
Oh man,
they're gonna go crazy in
just
this game.
You wait.
Brace yourself. Yeah. So I think that kind of wraps up the 2024 predictions. I think I had some more in there, but I think we covered most of it, actually.
I guess last question I'll ask, and then we'll wrap it up for everybody, and I want to hear everybody's thoughts in chat as well. What do you think is going to be the biggest, I'm going to say the biggest commercial flop of 2024? I know we've touched on maybe Dreadwolf, like maybe that doesn't. What do you think is just going to have money poured into it and then just ends up dying on arrival? I need to see if this game I'm thinking of launches next year.
But
before I say it,
does Skull and Bones count? Because I don't think they're ever going to make the money back.
That's a good point. Game. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. They've spent
because I don't.
So much. That's a good point. Yeah,
but without Skull and Bones.
That's the layup answer. Yeah, that's too easy. Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, I think Suicide Squad stands a chance of having a lot of people buy it day one.
Yeah.
I think if we're taking the whole year, I fully expect there to be a huge drop off of players.
I mean, even Gotham Knights sold really well. So I think Suicide Squad, just because of the name and the Rocksteady, and it will still have the Justice League. I don't think it will be a commercial flop. Like, it will still probably break even at least.
Yeah. So it'll probably generate a good amount of revenue. It's not going to do what they were hoping it would do, which is that it's going to be like the next big live service game that's going to live forever and never die and just print money. I don't think it's going to do that. But you're right. I mean, I think that at $70 a pop, millions and millions of people paying up front just to play the story, I think it's probably going to break even or maybe make a little. But it's probably walked away from within like a year and a half, I would guess. They'll drop the playable characters. It won't really see a huge spike in player base, and we'll see that kind of kind of drip from that. As for other games, I mean, we see a lot of Suicide Squad, lots of Skull and Bones.
I think Helldivers 2 might be like one of those games that just nobody ends up caring about, and then it just launches, and it's like the reviews were fine. It was like an 8 or something, and then it drops on PS Plus in the summer, and then they hopefully get a second wind. But that's one I was surprised that they were putting so much marketing money behind, and they were trying to hype up so much, because I haven't heard anybody even refer to it like positively or negatively. It just seems like it's a nothing burger. I think the Prince of Persia game will probably also not sell very well, sadly. I think it will be very good, but I just don't think that, and that's kind of the sad reality that we live in, because Ubisoft is like, we finally gave you a Prince of Persia game, and it's not an open world filled with icons, blah, 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 and nobody bought it, so we're gonna make another Assassin's Creed instead. Like, but maybe, because if it really gets like super high scores and maybe ends up in the, I don't know, some sort of category like platforming game of the year, whatever. I'm not sure if those exist, but if it like comes up in the conversation at the end of 2024 again, maybe that will help. But like it being in January, where people usually are not that into like buying new games immediately, they still have like a lot of stuff to play. It just being this sort of type of game that we already played so many times, even though it's really good. I don't know.
No, I mean, there's people in chat going, I haven't heard of that. What is that? So, Kyle, never heard of Helldivers. Yeah, it's a very forgettable game. Other games, like somebody was saying, Hellblade 2, it's tough to gauge a Game Pass commercial flop. I think if you're looking at it, asking like, is this going to generate hype and new signups and stuff for Game Pass? I don't really expect it to. They'll have trailers that go out that look really graphically impressive on TV and stuff, and people are going to see it. Like you mentioned, hey, Mom, Dad, look at how good this game looks. That's probably going to be a thing, but I just don't think that it's, from what I've seen at least so far.
Unless it's like Game of the Year contender, like the first game, for some people.
Yeah.
But like, for comparison, Hellblade sold 1 million copies in. Let's see when the game came out. I think maybe in a year or something. So the first game wasn't even big either. So
yeah,
let's see when it came out. It came out in August 2017, and they announced in June 2018 that it sold only 1 million copies. So in a year, 1 million. Damn.
I would have thought more, because a lot of people were talking about it and playing it, but that's also one of those games, and this is the danger with Suicide Squad. That's one of those games that if people are only really interested in the narrative cinematic side of it and the gameplay is kind of lackluster, a lot of people just watch videos on it and just watch the cinematic trailer collection, that's 9 hours long or whatever. I would think, being away for 6-7 years, they probably have a lot of really cool stuff that they can show off. And I think the one way to sell Hellblade 2 is to show crazy, huge, epic set piece fights and sequences like that. That's going to get people hyped and interested. But so far, they've shown a lot of like that trailer maybe a year ago that they did with her talking into a puddle, like in a cave of her mind or whatever it was. It was a horrible trailer. Didn't show anything of interest. And it was just like, how am I supposed to watch this and be more excited for it? Like, it didn't do anything or accomplish anything. So I think they probably need to revamp how they're pitching it to people and just make it out to be the most epic cinematic game of 2024. And I think at that point it probably sells and generates hype. But as of right now, it's
not sell still. I don't see people actually buying it, because you can finish it probably in, it might be longer. I think the first game was pretty short. So just like 10 hours short. And you can buy it on Game Pass. You can maybe do the 7th trial if they bring that back or whatever.
That's the thing. I agree. I don't think it sells well. I don't think people are going to be lining up on Steam. I think the other reason Starfield sold well on Steam was because of the modding scene, and modding through Xbox Game Pass versions of games is apparently just more frustrating than just Steam, where it has all these integrations and stuff. But I do think that there's a lot of people, if it's like the definitive cinematic game of the year and it looks amazing and stuff, a lot of people will download it, probably play it, like you said, for an hour or two. And for Xbox, that's probably all they're really interested in, is getting people to download the game and try it, and then be able to talk to their friends, and word of mouth carries how beautiful it is and how great it looks. Because every time you download one thing on Game Pass, you're likely to also download something else and to try something else and keep your subscription. And that's all they're really looking for at the end of the day.
Yeah. So. For sure. Okay, everyone, I hope you have an amazing end of the year.
Yes.
New Year's Eve. And of course, healthy, successful, fun, amazing 2024.
Wow, that's I don't know if I can do all that.
I just hope for the best.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful year that will go down in infamy as one of the best gaming years of all time, no doubt. But as for the future, 2024 is going to be very interesting. I think it's set to surprise a lot of people if there are surprises, or it's going to be kind of a boring year for the middle 6 months. Yeah. But we'll see. I mean, either way, there's a lot of really exciting stuff on the horizon. We're in a very transformative time in the industry, and we're going to cover it here on the Free Roam podcast, and also over at Joel Raptor and on Luke Stevens and Luke Stevens Live. And we thank you all for being with us and
for sure
joining us, because it's been a wonderful time.
For sure. Again, if you have Spotify, give us those 5 stars. Give us the reviews. That would be very, very helpful. On Apple Podcasts or whatever you listen to as well. And yeah, if you're already listening in 2024, hope it has been great so far. I hope how's the future, let us know. And then yeah, we will be back very, very soon. I think, yeah, already in the new year, a few days into it.
Yeah, I don't even know what day of the week is it. Friday. So
That would
yeah,
be
I mean,
3rd of January, right?
third. Yeah, that's Wednesday. That's Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, booyah! It's gonna be a good one. Much love, everybody. Stay safe. We'll talk soon. I love you all dearly.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.